Good evening. Okay, sorry. Good evening. Public notice of this meeting pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act has been given by the Board Secretary on November 17th, 2021 in the following manner. Posted notice on the school bulletin board at the administration building, transmitted to the Terrier Post, Philadelphia Inquirer, and the clerk of Cherry Hill Township. Welcome to this evening's Cherry Hill Board of Education meeting. Ms. Sugars? Roll call. Oh, I'm sorry. Pledge of Allegiance first. Sorry, first time. Okay, so I'd like to introduce Noah Casa, who will be leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. If everyone would please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Noah. Ms. Sugars, roll call.
Mrs. Arroyo,
Here.
Mrs. Stratton,
Here.
Ms. Friedel,
Here.
Mrs. Matlack,
Here.
Mr. Avadia,
Here.
Mrs. Schultz,
Here.
Ms. Stern,
Here.
Mrs. Tong, Mrs. Neary.
Thank you, Ms. Sugars. Tonight, we have a very special board recognition, so I'm going to ask Dr. Malash to take over the presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Friedel. I really appreciate it. I'm very excited that we are honoring some of our colleagues this evening. This is something that we do every year. We moved it back a little bit this year just because of how busy it was early in the fall. But tonight we're going to honor our colleagues who have worked continuously in the district for 20 years, for 25 years, and some for 30 years. Incredible years of service. We have all the names are listed on the agenda tonight. I'm going to go through and read the names, but I need you to know that these folks that we are honoring tonight combined have worked in Cherry Hill for 2,100 years. 2,100 years that these staff members, right? Incredible, incredible dedicated service. We say all the time that the greatest resource that we have in the Cherry Hill Public School District is the human resource. It's the staff. These staff members, certificated, non-certificated, support staff, whatever role that they fill to support our children, and they make this the greatest school district that it can be. So I'm thrilled that we are honoring folks this evening. For those of you who are in the audience who are being honored, we'd like to invite you to come and just to stand down along in front of the pit and to face the audience so that you can get a proper round of applause after we've gone through. If you're watching online, you could certainly stand when we applaud. We can't see that, but certainly you could stand at home where you are. So I'm going to begin with those folks that have had 20 years of continuous service here in Cherry Hill. Ann Allen, Esther Alpazar, Susan Avery, Sumita Banerjee, Janine Barnes, Carolyn Barra, Steve Bogman, Melissa Bergstrom, Anita Bowser, Lynn Bresnahan, Brenda Kalari, Rosemary Casey, Michael Cheeseman, Risa Cohen, Kathleen Connolly, Carol Cook, Marie Curry de Suarez, Charles Davis, Marianne Del Rossi, Alicia Del Marco, Michelle Derer, Kimberly DeYoung, Terry DeMidio, Jennifer DeStefano, Jennifer Dolan, Kelly Dugan, Edward Douglas, Gail Ellion, Demetra Evans, Alexander Falat, Jules Farkas, Kristen Finley, Cynthia Fortescue, Lillian Halden, Eva Harbora, Heather Hayes, Alexis Henderson, Keith Kovalevich, Katrina Lacavera, Nadine Lamana, Susan Levy, Felice Levecki, Tim Locke, Margaret Melcarney, Rosemary Martin, Christine Mason, Judy Ann Mayo, Patricia McCalla, Jennifer McCarran, Bob Metzger, Craig O'Connell, Julia O'Connor, Sherry Orlando, Judith Patrick, Jennifer Pfeiffer, Carol Pletcher, Michelle Pro, Deborah Race, Michael Rickert, Joanne Rizzo, Carol Roscoff, Lisa Safici, Jim Skirbo, Mindy Siegel, Sky Silverstein, Judy Snyder, Jim Southard, Jeannie St. Clair, Marie Taylor, Jennifer Tomasetti, Sherry Turner, Cindy Velasquez, John Wade, and Diane Zeltner. These folks have given 20 dedicated continuous years of service. Congratulations to our 20-year of service folks. You are welcome to stay up front and welcome the 25 and 30-year people if you would like. We like to celebrate in a crowd. There's nothing wrong with that. Next, I'm going to go into 25 years of service. First, Cheryl Augelli, Emily Bott, Tony Carter, Lisa Eman, Jennifer Fassbinder, Colleen Gergenti, Maria Hafner, Nancy Henriksen, Joanna Johnson, Christy Morella, Suzanne McKee, Jennifer Milesko, JD Monday, Bernie O'Connor, Barbara Spence, and Patricia Ferguson. Those are our 25 years of service. Mr. Monday's on his way down for the applause. Thank you, Mr. Monday, Ms. Seaman, for representing the 25-year class. Well done. Congratulations. And next, a very special group of folks who have given 30 continuous dedicated years of service to the Cherry Hill School District, the Cherry Hill community, and to our children. First, Barbara Catanoso, Abby Greenblatt, Jay Sinelli, Wendy McDermott, Kathleen Capola, Catherine Reynolds, Jody Gelman, and Leslie Wallace. Come on down. Wendy, thank you for being here representing the 30-year class. Wendy and I went to high school together. And Ms. Friedel said she grew up with Wendy. See, it all stays together. Thank you all for being here. Wendy as the 30-year class, JD and Lisa as the 25-year class. We had a nice large group of people from the 20-year class. Again, one of our favorite nights. So the folks, again, as I said, that we recognize this evening, 2,100 years of dedicated service. And each and every one of you have touched the lives of so many children. We are grateful for who you are and grateful for what you do. And thank you for dedicating yourselves to the families in the community of Cherry Hill. Congratulations. And Ms. Friedel, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you, Dr. Malash. And I just want to say thank you to all of those who were recognized for your service. We truly appreciate you. Dr. Malash, there are no presentations this evening.
There are no presentations this evening, Ms. Friedel.
No administrative reports.
No administrative reports either.
So we will move to correspondence. But before we start correspondence, Ms. Matlack would like to have a moment.
Thank you, Mrs. Friedel. I have had the honor of serving our community as a board member for the past 11 years. After much consideration and with the love and support of my family, I have made the decision to step down from the board effective December 31st, 2021. During my tenure as a board member, I've had the privilege of working with the greatest staff in any district. The human resource, Dr. Malaj, is without a doubt our greatest resource. And this includes our students. The children of Cherry Hill, yours and mine, they are why I volunteered to do the work of a board member. To the board members, past and present, and to our dedicated administrators, I thank each of you for allowing me the honor of working with you to serve our community as a board member. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Matlack, and we appreciate all your contributions over the last 11 years, and you still have a few more meetings to go. Okay, so that moves us to our student representatives report. We will start with, I'm sorry, I'm moving right ahead. Correspondence. Any correspondence? Okay, Mrs. Stern.
Thank you, Mrs. Friedel. Just wanted to mention, did a lot of time in the schools last week with quite a few town hall PTA meetings regarding the facilities improvements and the road forward meeting. But true highlight of my week was attending the Thanksgiving celebration at High School West, which was given by and honoring the students of the Living Skills and Job Skills program, who prepared a phenomenal meal and got to join several folks, Dr. Malash and Mrs. Wilson, and some just a phenomenal staff and a really, really moving program. So really enjoyed that and was very grateful to be invited. And I just also want to mention, I'm excited to share that I received a new board member boardmanship certificate from New Jersey School Board Association. So that's my first accomplishment as a board member. So just wanted to share that. That's it.
Thank you. Any, Mr. Avadia?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Friedel. Well, I was with Mrs. Arroyo at, what was it, Sharp. It feels like forever ago, but it was only the 10th of this month. And then at Monday, I was with, this past Monday, boy, the days are sort of going together, but I was at Rosa with Ms. Stern. And then yesterday, we of course had the town hall where we had Mrs. Neary and Ms. Stern and myself, and really a blue ribbon panel of people on this very same stage. And so it's been nice to really engage with the community. Yesterday and at the school-based meetings, we've had a lot of really good commentary and discussion, and I think it's critically important. So, but the other thing that I realize is, for the board to mobilize in this way to engage with the community, I mean, it's just unlike anything I've ever seen. I can't think of. So anyway, I mean, my appreciation to everyone who's carrying this water on the stage, and is very important. So thank you.
Ms. Arroyo?
I just wanted to thank all the parents and PTAs and school principals that allowed us the opportunity to discuss the conversation around developing a bond. I enjoyed hearing each of the principals share what their school needs, and having some of the parents and listening into some of the questions and comments. And also, Carol, thank you for all you've done in your 11 years of service. We completely appreciate everything that you have done. And I know experiencing now being on board, that time is very limited, and you've donated that time so much. So you're an essential asset to this community. And thank you for everything you've done in guiding everybody to get to where we are.
Thank you.
Any additional correspondence? Okay. Seeing none, we will move to the student reports. We will begin with Ariana Santiago Ramos, our High School East student representative.
Sorry. Hi, everybody. Good evening. Last week was Spirit Week at East, and the theme was Disney. Freshmen were Epcot, sophomores were Animal Kingdom, juniors were Magic Kingdom, and seniors were Hollywood Studios. After a great week with a lot of participation from every single grade, Spirit Week came to an end last Friday with our dance competition where we won. Of course, this is the second year the class of 22 has won. So yeah, over the week we raised $5,000 between the t-shirts we sold and the dance competition, which goes to Alex's Lemonade Stand, which is an organization that raises money for research and to support families with family members with cancer, and more specifically pediatric cancer. We also collected 4,800 cans for the food drive, which all go to the Cherry Hill Food Pantry. Moving on, the SGA started organizing their Student Voice Committee again this year. This is a committee that facilitates the communication directly from students to the administration. It's students speaking directly to our administration at East. And it really just improves our education, and it brings up a lot of issues in our school specifically, and that will begin shortly. Also, our first marking period is over. It feels like it zoomed by because it's November and yesterday was August, but whatever. But for any students that would like extra support or just want to, get that grade up a little bit, cum laude always does tutoring, which is completely free and you can get it in any subject. And it's on Wednesdays, I think. Also Lunch and Learn, because we have LB1 and LB2, you can eat LB1 or LB2 and then use that extra time to get extra help from any teacher, and every teacher does this, which is amazing. So you can always get the extra help you need from anyone you want it from. The first edition of Eastside came out today. Everyone who's involved with Eastside, they gave them out this morning to all the students. And it was great. I really liked it, actually. Some of the titles included The Faces Behind Our Masks and More Students Should Attend the BOE Meetings, which is my theme. And yeah, that's basically it for this month, I think. And happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Thank you, Ariana, and congratulations on that amazing donation, both to Alex's Lemonade Stand and to the food pantry. I'm sure that there are a lot of grateful people as we embark on Thanksgiving. Next, we will hear from Kevin Salvatorelli, our West representative. I didn't want to mess up your name, Kevin.
Thank you, and you got it right. And don't worry, lots of people mess it up. Tons of people add as many letters as they possibly can. So I'm Kevin. I'm giving a report for West tonight. So in school news, we have switched to the Lunch and Learn system, which is much similar to what we used in the 2019-2020 school year. As students have now gotten more acclimated to high school, or back to high school, we found it a much more effective use of time to give the LB1 and LB2 periods as both extra help and lunch. So students may go to homeroom during both lunch periods, during only one of them, and that will allow people who have sectional meeting or sectionals for music department or for the music programs and meetings for honor societies, etc., to all meet during their lunches without losing their lunch period. Something positive. As we ended the first marking period, we're celebrating students who continually demonstrate the West way. We are celebrating them getting caught, doing something positive. Throughout the first marking period, any student who got caught would receive a ticket and get entered into a drawing for prizes at the end of the marking period. Some prizes included season pass to all home basketball games, t-shirts, and gift cards. We also are in the process of having Hiv presentations. So throughout the past week, the guidance department has been holding presentations with all West students to ensure they are aware of the process, rights, and responsibilities with the Hiv process. This is a preventative measure that hopes to ensure we have a safer and more welcoming environment for people of all backgrounds. In activities news, going on right now, the annual Powder Puff, Wing Bowl, and Tug of War are happening down at our stadium. These annual events are traditions within the West community and usually take place as part of Spirit Week. But since Spirit Week was moved earlier in this year, we decided to continue to hold them this week as a entrance into the Thanksgiving break. In department news, the vocal music department is working towards its winter concert and Broadway night. Vocal music will be performing both live and virtually from this auditorium on December 16th. Cinderella is also underway for the theater department, and it'll be the first full theatrical performance held in here by West since November of 2019 and March of 2020 for when East held Legally Blonde in this room. In instrumental music news, the instrumental music concert is slated for Thursday, December 9th at 7 p.m. and will feature lab band, jazz ensemble, string orchestra, wind ensemble, and the combined groups. It'll be the first West concert on stage since Broadway night in February 2020. We are all very excited to be out performing for the public. The marching band will also be playing at the grand opening of Crabs du Jour on Marlton Pike on December 6th. In athletics, the boys soccer team played in the state finals on November 20th at Keene University. Although West didn't bring home the win, it was one of the largest unifications of school spirit in recent history, and we are all very proud of our athletes. JROTC also, just before 7 a.m. on November 14th, when it was a near freezing 34 degrees at Cooper River Park, participated as a support element from performing their duty at the Athletes with Disabilities Network. Disabilities Network Northeast Veterans Day Run, Walk, and Roll. The event had 110 athletes drawn together to celebrate how veterans can overcome physical challenges. Kudos to Cadet Thomas Hughes, whose time of 1841 put him in second place overall. The show of dedication marked the end of a busy week for the cadets. And that is all. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. I guess everybody's at the Powerpuff Tug of War and not joining us this evening.
You know, I'm sure they'd all love to be sitting here right now.
I bet you they would. Yes, thank you, Kevin. Have a happy Thanksgiving. A lot of good things going on at both East and West. This brings us to our first public comment. First public comment is on board action items only, which are items number 13 to 16. You will have up to 3 minutes to speak. Acting as civil models of decorum, Cherry Hill is a community that values education. Issues that affect our children, schools, and community bring out strong emotions in all of us. The Board of Education takes seriously its vision to work with civility. Please join the board in sending a message to our students that even the most difficult issues can be addressed while showing respect for one another. As always, we will start with an audience member and then move to an online participant. We ask that you state your name and municipality.
Alana Yaris, Cherry Hill. I'm speaking to a couple different items, 14.1 and 14.2. I see the minutes from the October meetings are being approved tonight. When can the minutes from these meetings be expected to be uploaded to the website? There are minutes from the August meetings of August 4th, 10th, and 24th that have all been approved but not uploaded. August 17th and both September meetings minutes are on the website. I'm just wondering why these ones aren't. 15.3, I'm happy to see an interim principal appointed to Kilmer, and I'm also happy to have received an email announcing the appointment yesterday to the Kilmer community. Thank you for laying out next steps and listening to the parents to include meetings with all stakeholders to hire the next full-time principal. I'm glad that the Family Friendly program is back for another year to teach healthy homework habits for the students at a young age so that they can use these teachings when they get to middle and high school. And 15.9, thank you to all parties involved for working diligently on a teacher contract so that it is now longer than just 1 year. I know this was a difficult time for all, but I'm glad both parties could reach a long-term agreement so that this does not need to be negotiated again so quickly in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Yares. Next, we will take a caller with the last 4 digits of 9788. Please state your name, municipality, and identify the item from the agenda you'll be speaking to. Our apologies. The caller, you'll be able to speak in just a minute. Go
Okay,
ahead.
can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm
can you-
unmuted. Can you hear
us?
me? Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, we can hear you.
Okay, I don't get a cue, all right? So I don't know if I'm on or not. This is 13-2, I'm going to have to skip. I've been complaining about this before. And it's the services are necessary and prudent by. And I keep on saying it's about what I want you to add is that this individual, whoever they are, in this case it's the Director of Special Ed, is not part of the IEP team. All right? I mentioned this before, and what I mentioned before was that a school board member questioned the school board solicitor, who said in effect that this is an administrative procedure. However, when it comes to IDEA, due process complaint is an administrative procedure also. So is the complaint process. It's determined an administrative procedure. So say that is written for an administrative procedure kind of bothers me, because due process complaints are administrative. So in my opinion, if you don't include that phrase that this person is not a member of the IEP team, all right, or don't modify the phrase that you have as written, all right, it could give a district and a school board an upper hand in an administrative procedure, which could result in the delay of some services or actually tacit denial of the services with little recourse for the parents or the child. Arguments could be focused on the fact is this person actually who's making this decision a member of the IEP team or not? And then the state or the administrative law judge could come down with a ruling that they are or not, instead of ruling on the services not being performed. Really, you have to clarify, is this person a member of the IEP team or not? And by the way, I need a cue because I didn't know I was on or not, and I tried to get on. I unmuted and didn't know. So anyway, I guess that is, but please give it some consideration. It really needs to be modified. As if now that person is not in the IEP team, and in fact, you're really calling them part of it. So just write and clarify and say this person, unless it's indicated, is not part of the IEP team. Please write that. Thank you. That's it. Hello?
Thank you, Dr. Podowitz.
Okay.
Okay, do we have any other audience members who want to make public comment? Okay. And we have one additional caller on the line, Laura Einhorn. Please state your name, municipality, and the agenda item.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great. Ann Einhorn, also known as Laura Ann Einhorn, Cherry Hill, New Jersey. I'd like to thank the board and particularly CHEA for coming to an agreement beginning July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2025. I am very happy to see that this is a 4-year contract. And I would particularly like to thank all the members of CHEA that have been working without a contract since July 1st of this year. I respect and admire what all of you have gone through, and I also appreciate the board's efforts to bring this to a resolution. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Einhorn. I do not see any additional public comment. So that moves us to superintendent's comments.
Thank you, Ms. Friedel. So this is our last meeting in November. I don't know, we were talking in one of the schools on Monday when I was out speaking with some staff members and students just about how fast this academic year seems to be going. As today is the 23rd of November, yesterday, report cards were issued for our secondary schools, the middle schools, and the high school. Issued the first marking period report cards. We are looking forward to conferences at the middle schools and elementary schools coming up in a couple of weeks. The temperature outside definitely lets us know that it is late fall right now, but this academic year seems to be going by very quickly as we sit here at the end of November. A couple of things that I do want to highlight. Ms. Stern brought up about the Thanksgiving luncheon that was hosted last week by Mrs. Garrity Bantle and her colleagues and students. Always such a wonderful opportunity for us to spend some time with students. For me, the highlight of that morning being over here with the kids and with the staff was to hear the students talk about those things for which they are thankful. And as you would expect, you know, from 15 through 18 or 19-year-olds, we heard about often things, items for which they're thankful, but the most things that we heard about were people in their lives, staff members, their family members, extended relatives, friends, and about the relationships and how important they are to the students, and that those are the things that they are truly thankful for at this time of year. And for me, it's something that I think that message is something that we all need to be carrying as we go into this holiday season. There are many holidays coming up between now and the end of January, through different faiths and different backgrounds, through different cultures, and a lot for all of us to be thankful about. Taking the opportunity to be reflective and to step back, to draw in a deep breath and to wait, to listen more than we speak, and to try to kind of take it all in, I think is something that's very important. There has been a lot that has gone on in the few months, the 3 months that we've been back in school. There's been a lot of intensity and a lot of passion. We came through an election season again, you know, with lots of people involved in sharing perspective. As the adults in the community, it's always important for us to set that role and set that perspective and to be models for the rest of the people that are in our community, especially for our students and for our children. You know, Ms. Friedel read before the public comment, you know, about what we expect in public comments, and we should hold each other to that expectation at any time when we are interacting in the community. I am very excited that the board is going to be voting on ratification of the contract with CHEA, which is our largest bargaining group. The Cherry Hill Education Association represents more than 1,300 of our staff members, certificated and non-certificated folks, our instructional staff, our therapists, secretaries, custodians, technology people, nurses, grounds folks. It's an incredibly wide-ranging group of very important human beings to the Cherry Hill School District. A very positive contract, I think, for all who are involved. And again, I don't know that you could have stepped into any of our schools or spoken with any of our staff members. I don't know that you would have known that we were in a time where a new contract had not been ratified. And I too am grateful for the professionalism and the work that these staff members provide and their dedication to what we do and what we are able to do on a daily basis. Again, without these human beings, without the 1,700 employees of the school district, we are not able to do anything to provide for the 11,000 children that are here. So I'm grateful to each and every one of them and looking forward to the vote coming up this evening. Other than that, I wish everybody a healthy and safe long weekend. Don't forget, schools are closed Thursday and Friday this week. We're looking forward to the shows that are going up, you know, after the 1st of December. Winter sports are beginning at the middle schools and at the high schools. Check the school calendars for the concerts and for the performances. Please come out and see our kids perform. You won't be sorry that you spent the time and invested the time in seeing what they can do. Thank you, Ms. Friedel.
Thank you, Dr. Malash. This moves us to the action agenda. So the superintendent recommends, and I move the following: the action consent to approve items numbers 13 through 16. Do I have a second? Mrs. Schultz? Any questions? Seeing none, Mrs. Sugars, you can open up the vote.
Okay, board members, the online voting is open so that you may cast your votes. If there are any abstentions or no votes, you can let me know that now.
Ms. Sugars, I will be abstaining to 16.2.
Ms. Sugars? I need to abstain from 15.3, 15.6, and 15.8 to avoid a conflict of interest.
15.3, 6, and 8.
Yes.
Ms. Sugar? Can I please abstain to 16.1 as I missed that part of the discussion in the exec session?
Mrs. Sugar, I have to abstain 16.2, yes to everything else. Thank you.
Okay, other than the items noted, we have a unanimous vote.
Thank you, Ms. Sugars. I don't see anything for strategic planning discussion, so that moves us to new business. Board members, are there any items for discussion under new business? No? Okay, then old business. Ms. Stratton?
I think it's more new business, but I didn't know where to place this, but I just wanted to publicly thank Mrs. Matlack. I know we will have a proper recognition prior to her exiting the board. However, I just want to say thank you to her for her service as a community member and just for her time and dedication. And for someone that's new to this board, 2 times new, I thank Ms. Matlack for just being patient with me and teaching me along the way and guiding me in how to do this properly and professionally. And so I just want to thank her for her time. And I hope that she continues her service to the community even outside of the board.
Thank you, Ms. Stratton. I have to say, I agree. My first year, I sat next to Mrs. Matlack in the boardroom, and many times I'd have to lean over and she'd have to guide me through where to find things. So much appreciated. Any other new business? Okay, old business. Mrs. Arroyo?
Yeah, I just wanted, Ms. Sugars, if we had any, can we have any further discussion on the free meals and lunches and like the quality of the meals? And how, if there's any way to address or come up with solutions around that?
So we will continue to get updates. I know Ms. Sugars met with Mr. Bridges with the Aramark manager today. Mrs. Sugars, right?
Yes.
Your meeting and some of the new staff members working with him. We have one of the biggest challenges we continue to have with food services is staffing. Again, we are running at about 46% of our staffing. If we expect to have 80 people in the buildings, we've got about 36 that are there. We have 1 elementary school that has 2 employees. All the rest of them only have 1. Mrs. Wilson and I, when we were out and about today, we actually at Johnson stopped in as the Aramark employee was preparing meals and preparing cheeseburgers and the sides and all that kind of stuff that went along to see what was going. There is still a challenge with supply side of the items that we are getting in. Everything there has not been a change in what's being ordered in terms of the quality and in terms of what's there. We have received questions about the portion sizes. There is a challenge with portion sizes because we have to follow the federal guidelines about what it is that makes a meal. I would honestly contend that the majority of portion sizes that are being served in our lunches are probably smaller than portion sizes that people are used to eating at home with what's there. All of us as consumers deal with challenge with bruised fruit, and all of us at home, I'm sure, have dealt with, bread items or baked items that end up moist or end up with something on them. That's certainly not what we want in terms of what we see in our cafeterias and in what's being served. What we do want is for kids to speak up and to let the people in the building know so that it can be addressed immediately. In comparison to where we are in 2021, we are serving on average about 4 times as many breakfasts across the district on a daily basis. And we are serving about 75% more lunches, close to 80% more lunches on a daily basis than we were serving 2 years ago in 2019. With less than half of the staff that we had at that time. We would like to, and the Aramark folks, Mr. Bridges, they would like to expand the meal selections and the choices that are available. Unfortunately, until we acquire additional staff, it's a challenge to do that. Food is absolutely prepared in advance. It's not prepared as it's ordered, for sure. In an institutional setting like the one that we are in, with limited time, for the meals, that's just a reality of where we are. If anybody's interested, if you have folks that might be interested in coming in, working in the cafeteria is a wonderful opportunity for employment. The positions are starting at $14 an hour. Aramark just increased their starting wage $2 an hour, increased $2 an hour for their current employees. And we're looking to continue to make it better. The goal is that more kids eat the meals that are being provided in the school. That's our goal. And in this year, when the Department of Agriculture at the federal level is allowing us to provide meals for every child, we want to make sure that as many kids as want to and as need to are taking advantage of those meals on a daily basis. And that's with quality food. I was at Beck today, meeting with a group of kids, and we talked about lunch. I talk about lunch at all of the secondary schools when I do my town halls with the students. There are a number of students that talked about the quality of the food, and they did like it. There were concerns that were raised as well. So definitely something we continue to work on. We'll continue to share the numbers with the board about what it looks like in terms of the number of meals that are being served. And again, we're looking for folks. We are also still looking for educational assistants. We're looking for lunch and recess time educational assistants at the elementary level. We are looking for custodians and cleaners. All of these different positions that are paid at the hourly rate. We continue to look to hire. We are understaffed in each of those areas at the district level. So hoping folks will continue to talk about it, always looking for additional suggestions and looking for some good people to come in and join the team here in Cherry Hill. As we talked about earlier, we recognized a group of folks that have dedicated 2,100 years worth of service to Cherry Hill. And many in those groups are educational assistants and support staff who are working with our children in cafeterias, at lunchtime and doing those types of things. So yeah, good question, Ms. Arroyo. Something that we will absolutely continue to talk about.
Dr. Malash, I have I guess it's a technical question about the lunches, because I know that there's just a lot of talk in the community about the quality and what it looks like and so forth. So is the contract with Aramark, is it like I'm going to use the word tiered. So is there like levels? So I kind of think about it like catering. You're having an event, and for $12, you get to pick from these things. And
No.
So it's a flat.
It is not. It's flat with where it is. The price of the meals is the price of the meals. That's set by the board. And we have to review based on what reimbursable meals are at the federal level. And Ms. Sugars, we haven't changed that in 2 years.
No, we pay a flat price per meal that's served.
For meal, the flat price that's served.
Right. I was asking if these are your options. If you pay, I'm just making up a number, $1 a meal, this is what you get. For $1.50, this is the menu. No, it's just, this is what it is.
No, because you have to structure meals to meet the federal standards. So there's those meals, and then there's other meals where additional a la carte items might be added onto, which students would pay for separately. But our cost that we pay to Aramark is based on the number of meals that are served.
And honestly, in talking to some of the kids, and it is a challenge, right? Again, the staffing is a piece of it, but it's a challenge for kids being back in school full time. Many children and talking to kids and to parents, living at, being at home and being in school online, there was a lot of grazing, that went on, during the course of the day. There were snacks, there was the opportunity to have what you wanted out of the refrigerator. And I know having, kids who are at college age who were home during that time, just what it looked like and the difference. It definitely is a different piece. Again, and then, as we've said, with what the federal guidelines are, with what makes up a meal, we have to follow those pieces.
And are the administrators kind of going through the cafeteria at lunchtime and eyeing the food and making administration aware if there are challenges?
So the administrators, staff members of different buildings are definitely involved. It's lunchtime is a busy time in our schools for sure. You figure we have asked students, staff members, administrators at the buildings to be in more places during lunch than ever before. With the opportunities to eat outside, be outside, have general areas, where kids, can be, whether it's to eat or the mask breaks or, that kind of thing. So definitely as part of it. I've seen at every level administrators pitching in to help serve meals, and to do that. The times when I've had the opportunity, especially the elementary level, to be in all-purpose rooms or be outside with the kids, opening stuff, helping kids with containers. For people that pack their lunches, there's some fascinating little containers and little Tupperware. Talk about, a challenge for kids' manual dexterity, especially, depending upon what they've been doing for a couple of years. To open those containers has been interesting. But yes, it's part of the overall, piece of what goes through for sure. Now, and like I said before, that's not to say that there's not going to be bruised pieces of fruit, or hot dogs that are burned. That absolutely happens. There's no question about that. Just like it happens at home, just like it happens at Panera or any of the other, places that food's being prepared. But we want to be able to address that in the building. We are hoping that the child will say something to the educational assistant or to an adult that's there. We would much rather replace the food for the child, than have people be frustrated.
Thank you. Any other, are you pointing or do you have a? Oh, okay, thank you. Ms. Stratton?
Oh, I was just gonna, thank you, Mrs. Stern, Ms. Pardo. I was just gonna add just a level setting, or I wish we would all, just be a little bit kind to with the level setting of us returning back. Like the distribution and supply things is happening across the state in all different levels. So, in after school programming and out of school time, any of that, it's all happening. And we definitely should have people at the building level reporting things that are expired or whatnot. But for us as a community and as a board, we should also level set just a tiny bit of, we have, probably double the amount of people eating meals than before, having their eyes on meals before, and we have half the amount of people serving. So that becomes a huge challenge. And on top of that, we do have a different set of young people eating now, which is amazing. And families getting served that weren't probably served before, which is amazing. And at the same time, pre-COVID, I'm probably gonna get knocked for this, but pre-COVID was lunch a gourmet meal? It wasn't like, a 4-course extravaganza pre that. So I don't know. There's a lot of things coming back post-COVID that I think some people have to have a little bit of a level set of like, these meals were the same things were being served pre-COVID as are being served post-COVID. Now we're doing it in double the quantities. So, and that's not an excuse for Aramark to do anything that's serving us bad food or food that is uncooked or food that is outdated. That is not an excuse for that. But I just want to make sure that we all have that level set in our mind, that this is not something that's specifically happening just in Cherry Hill, just by Aramark. That's across the board with all suppliers. I can just speak to that.
Which is why I asked if we could have continued conversations and solutions as we continue through this process, because while we understand that the kids eating it may not, the parents may not. And so the more transparent we are about what's actually happening, the more helpful it is for us to kind of understand some of the delays and everything. I think that's important. So I'm going to keep asking, because I don't like to bring up my individual status, but like this is the first time I'm experiencing having my child eat in lunch, like in school. And so, and I'm hearing the conversations, but in general, on a countywide view, similar, I'm just asking for continued conversations and what our solutions are. I'm not really focused on the individuals, I shouldn't say individual experiences, but overall, what are our practices to move forward to make things better?
Thank you, ladies. And it's, and I appreciate both the comments, Ms. Arroyo, about, where we are at the county, Ms. Elmore Stratton, just about the reality of the situation. The challenge in food service is not a Cherry Hillism right now. The hiring of hourly wage employees is not a challenge that's, just being faced in Cherry Hill. The food service reality is all over. It's all over this region. It's all over the country right now. It's just a challenge. And honestly, the biggest difference maker for us in going into this is staff. That really is that's the difference maker. But that's the difference maker overall. It's, one of the challenges that we have on a daily basis with substitutes. We can't get substitutes, the challenge in that area. But that really is in terms of food service. Like I said, we have less than half the number of staff members we had serving food and making meals 2 years ago. And we're asking them to serve exponentially more meals on a daily basis, which, there's an efficiency that just goes away with that. So again, I implore people, if you know somebody, if you got, people that are going to school, people that are in graduate programs, they can work it in. It's about a 6.5 hour shift, early in the day till early afternoon. We would love to have folks come out and join us here in the school district. There is true joy in working with children on a daily basis. So I encourage folks to reach out.
Thank you for the discussion. Ms. Stern?
Just a quick related, I'm just wondering, because Dr. Malash, like, as you said, the greatest challenge really is kind of, having staffing. I'm wondering if we can leverage our website to promote all of our open positions. We have these great, like, Find It Fast and quick links and stuff. And I think, like, when you have, 4, 5, 6 clicks to get somewhere to apply to a job, I just think it's just more, it's a barrier. So perhaps, and this is a technology piece, but I think having it, as visible as possible, as accessible as possible, and, kind of an easy way to access the different positions that are open, and people can choose perhaps what they're looking for. Because it really, aside from supply chain, that is probably, I think we're seeing it everywhere. So, and we have, it'd be great to see if we could, make it easier. Easier, we are hiring, or whatever it is. So just a thought. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Tong? Ms. Tong, can you use your microphone?
I'm trying to find out how effective is our quarantine, that, how we quarantine our students stay home if they've been in contact with other students or come across. And if we do quarantine our kids that, I guess, they stay home, but then test not positive, they miss days. Is there any way we can put them, like, how do we help them so they're not missing classes?
Well, I can answer the second part of the question first. Students who are out of school because they're quarantined because of exposure, whether they're exposed at school or at home or in the community, they have the opportunity to receive virtual instruction 1 to 3 days after they've gone into the quarantine status. We follow the guidelines that are in our plan, in our Road Forward plan, that are based on the guidelines that have been shared with us through the New Jersey Department of Health in their work with the CDC and in the New Jersey Department of Ed with what they released in their guidelines last summer. We have not changed our guidelines in terms of what that is, but that's how they can continue to receive instruction.
Will they miss any classes while they quarantine? That's, I think, my question was. I'm not clear about that answer.
Are they quarantined?
While they quarantine at home because they come up in close contact with other students who test positive, will they miss class while they home quarantine? They automatically pick up the next day, like taking classes at home, or they will actually not taking any class for multiple days until later?
So in the plan that was developed, they have the staff of the buildings has 1 to 3 days to set up the virtual instruction to do that. So there is possibility that somebody could miss class for a day, depending upon what's going on. But they do have time. We gave them 3 days to set it up. All situations are different depending upon the level, depending upon the type of class and what's being done. But we provide the opportunity for them then to receive the instruction virtually.
So there is a possibility of missing 1 or 3 days of no classes.
There is that possibility. That's correct.
Okay. Would they be able to make up any classes after? If they miss 3 days, then the fourth day, fifth day, they need to play catch up. Am I right about that?
Well, they would still have access to get their work. They wouldn't necessarily have the virtual instruction during those 1 to 3 days, but they would still be provided with their work. They could still get assignments as we have done for, in perpetuity. If kids are out, they contact the teacher, contact the school, contact the guidance office, and work can be provided for those children. But yes, they would have the opportunity to make that up. They would not be penalized because they've had to quarantine.
Thank you, Dr. Malaj.
Sure.
Anyone else? Okay, that moves us to second public comment, which is on any topic. You will have up to 3 minutes to speak. Please state your name and municipality. We will once again start with anyone in the audience and then move to anyone who is joining us virtually.
Alana Yaris, Cherry Hill. I'm speaking about a scheduling conflict in December for the next Board of Ed meeting. I don't know if it's a written rule or an unwritten rule that nothing else in the district is supposed to take place the same night as a board meeting. But when all of the committee meetings were canceled, you went to committee of the whole for December and added in a second meeting. And so now all of the elementary school and middle school conferences are scheduled Monday and Wednesday afternoon for the first full week of December and Tuesday and Thursday evening for the first week of December. And I know at that first meeting in December, you're discussing middle school redistricting. And I think a lot of middle school parents who may have conferences may want to be in attendance. I know there's been a big push on social media for people to attend, but it's a little bit of a conflict that I just think was an oversight. There was a mention about substitutes and the lack of substitutes that come to the district. I sat in on a meeting yesterday for one of the schools for Road Forward, We Return to Learn. One of the things that was mentioned is the sub for that building chooses Cherry Hill as her last district because we pay less than all of the other districts. So if there's any way to look at increasing the pay for our substitutes, we might get more people to come sub in the district. And then it was just mentioned that a student isn't penalized if they have to quarantine and they miss 1 to 3 days before virtual learning is turned on. Does that include absences? Because I know there's a certain amount, once you reach a certain amount, then you, I guess, not truant, but just that absences become a problem if they rake up, if like every time you come back, then you're exposed again and you have to quarantine again. And every time you miss those days, you're saying that their students aren't penalized, but does that reflect in at the end of the year, the amount of absences that a student has had because of those quarantines? Thank you.
Thank you. So we will now go to the phone and we have Yanni Yaris.
Yoni Yaris, Cherry Hill. Earlier this meeting, you honored many incredible staff members. I just wanted to bring attention to a couple of them. Natural History Day is a big mentioning by the board when it comes up, and that teacher who is the force to be reckoned with behind that is one of the teachers who's been in the district 25 years, Miss Morella. I just wanted to really acknowledge that she has been a force from the time I was a student district through now. And it's just, if we could clone Miss Morella and have 400 of them on our staff, it would be great. She is just fantastic. Also wanted to acknowledge that there are an alum of the district, Mr. Davis over at East. It's fantastic when we have alumni come back and want to serve this community again. We have a second generation teachers with Mr. Kovalevich, his father. So I think that family is now into well over 50 years of service to our community. It's just to say that we have some really amazing members of the Cherry Hill team. And it's always a great meeting when you guys get to celebrate, when you as a board get to celebrate them and acknowledge that we have these amazing educators in our community. I also wanted to acknowledge Ms. Matlack. It will be very sad not this year on the board come January. She has put in so many years behind it. She is a leading advocate for diversity, equity, and inclusion, making our community better, and it will be surely missed. I hope that she continues to work as best as she can and also get some time off and enjoy having Tuesdays free for the first time in 11 years. I just want to thank you all. I know it's been a challenging year, as Dr. Malash has mentioned, and that we all really do appreciate, especially all the time you have all dedicated in the last 2 months, going out on the road and adding even more meetings to the schedule, taking time away from your families to go and work towards a building facility plan improvement plan. And so many of us, we really do appreciate that and the listening tour and everything else that you do. I may not always get to hear it, but those of us who care really do appreciate everything you do. Thanks.
Thank you. Now we'll move to an audience member.
Pnina Mintz, Cherry Hill. I'd like to address the Board of Education regarding mask choice for Cherry Hill students. For the rights of teachers and students and the public to decide for themselves whether they wish to wear a mask or not to is protected by Article 1 of the New Jersey Constitution, titled Rights and Privileges, Section 1. All persons by nature are free and independent and have certain natural and unalienable rights, among which are those of enjoying, defending life and liberty, of acquiring, possessing, and protecting property, and of pursuing and obtaining safety and happiness. Article 1, Section 2A, all political power is inherent in the people. Government is instituted for the protection, security, and benefit of the people, and they, the people, have the right at all times to alter or reform the same whenever the public good may require it. As elected public servants, you have taken an oath to uphold the New Jersey Constitution and need to inform the public that mask choice is protected right by the New Jersey Constitution. I ask you again to remove any mask mandates for school students and allow them to breathe freely. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mintz. Next on the line, the last 4 digits, 9788. Please state your name and municipality.
Okay, hi, I'm Jeff Podowitz. I live in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. I've had many of the previous school meetings. I read from John Treble's statement to the Assembly Budget Committee. The chairman was our own Louis Greenwald. The date was March 24th, 2010. And I'm saying this because it's about fair funding, obviously. All right, you can find this by Google search CHEPTA, CHSEPTA, plus John Tremble, TREMBLE. You can read it. John was speaking for himself, but he was also speaking as a board member of Cherry Hill Special Ed PTA. Also, why is this important? CHEPTA understood that SFRA did not help us. Besides, for years, school districts and the state were pointing how expensive special education was. Our state said school districts were overclassifying students to get money. The state solution was the census method of funding special education. Former categorical ed aid would be provided by the census method, but our state's version significantly modified the census method to decrease that aid. The state decided to place 2/3 of what should have been categorical state aid into the equalization formula. Then the state went further and capped equalization aid, in effect further decreasing direct state aid to special education and to our district. It was not evenly distributed. Our community was really hurt. John documented what happened and how the most recent cuts, this was 2010, hurt our district and at-risk students even further. He pertined out to this hypocrisy. CHEPTA attempted to get our school board and district to visibly advocate for our deserved state aid. That did not happen, so CHEPSA joined a Disability Rights of New Jersey amicus brief. I sent that, or tried to send that, to every school board member. And please read what John Tremble said, and know that CHEPTA took actions for fair funding in our district. This was fair funding back in 2010, and CHEPSA tried to get the school board, tried to get our school district to be more vocal. It didn't happen. As for that brief, if you read it, there was a lack of mention of the 2/3 of special ed categorical aid that was moved to equalization aid, frozen, and then under the legislation that cut our funding from 2010 to 2011 was basically eliminated. For your information, when they in that
Thank you,
brief,
Dr. Potowitz. I'm sorry, that's the 3 minutes. Thank you so much. Next, the audience.
Steve Redfern, Cherry Hill, New Jersey, CHA president. I want to take a moment to thank the Board of Education for coming to an agreement with the CHA membership for 4 years. It's very appreciated by the members. A long-term deal, as a couple of people have mentioned already, is very significant to our membership and sends a strong message to them of the support that the board has given them with this contract. The last 4-year contract, for those of you who were here, was a 4-year contract, but after 1.5 years of no contract. So a very stark difference between the two, and I appreciate your work. Mr. Ovadia, Mrs. Neary, who's not here, Mrs. Madlack, thank you for being part of the team that met with us. The rest of the board, thank you for approving it. Ms. Sugars, Dr. Malash, Mr. Green, thank you for your part in getting the contract done. Mrs. Madlack, I'd be remiss. I'm sad. You attended a lot of my wife and I's crazy events like Volley for Support and the Golden Age Prom. We will definitely make sure you're still invited. Congrats. Thank you for everything you did. You will be missed. Have a nice Thanksgiving, everybody. Take some time with your family and enjoy it. Have a good night.
Thank you, Mr. Redfern. Next on the line, Carolina Bevid.
Good evening, Carolina Bevid, Cherry Hill, New Jersey, but I'll be reading a comment from my friend Yvonne Lee, who also lives in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, who couldn't attend tonight's meeting because she is working. She's a nurse. Her comment is as follows. My son is a second grade student at Stockton Elementary. We received a call at 10 a.m. Monday that he had close contact with a student who had tested positive for COVID. We were told to pick him up as soon as possible. His father and I were both at work, which is a considerable distance away from me, 40-minute commute. I had to call my mother to pick him up. My son was very upset when she picked him up because no one properly explained to him why he was being pulled out of class. He believed he gave corona to everyone. He was crying and said, "It's all my fault." The nurse or teacher should have told him that he did not do anything wrong and he was being sent home as a precaution. He was an emotional wreck yesterday. He worried about falling behind in class. He was confused about not receiving any work to do at home. He said, "I miss my friends" several times. I emailed his teacher Monday morning to ask about work he could do at home and received this response. I spoke with the person that picked him up and told him that he will not need to log on this week. We are lucky it's a short week and we're doing more activities for the holiday, and tomorrow we have 2 specials in our Fall Fest. If for some reason he needs to stay out longer than this week, I will send home additional work. I don't understand why she could not give us the pages they are assigned in his workbook. She made him take all of his books home, but will not give him homework until he's confirmed positive for COVID. We were also told he can't receive remote instruction unless he tests positive for COVID. When he does, the teacher needs 3 days to prepare for remote instruction. So this leaves our children without instruction for 5 to 6 days. This does not make any sense, and it is a violation of my son's right to receive an education under the Americans with Disabilities Act. Examples of the types of discrimination prohibited in the Act include inequitable access to educational programs and facilities, denial of a free appropriate public education for elementary and secondary students, and refusal to implement or inappropriate implementation of academic adjustments in higher education. This afternoon, I emailed the school nurse and the teacher to inform them that my son's COVID PCR test came back negative. I asked if he could return to school tomorrow. The response was, unfortunately, the earliest he can return is Monday, the 29th of November. I was not offered any explanation as to why he could not return to school tomorrow. This is not appropriate or respectful. The nurse should explain in detail why he has to remain at home without any form of remote instruction. I urge the board to re-examine the rules around COVID-19, remote instruction, and quarantine. I spoke at length with my son's pediatrician, and she said keeping him at home makes little sense, since given that he tested negative for COVID, he received the pediatric vaccine, which I sent proof to the school, and he had a prior COVID-19 infection in November 2020. He likely has robust antibodies and low risk of getting infected or transmitting the infection if he did somehow get COVID. In addition, he's rigorous about mask hygiene. Thank you. I don't have time to finish.
Thank you. I don't see anyone in the audience, so next is Laura Einhorn.
Ann Einhorn, Cherry Hill, New Jersey. So I'd like to speak on the food issue regarding Aramark and distribution. I've talked to many people in my pediatric practice, and what I have determined from seeing the chatter on Facebook is that there are several parts to this issue. Number one, the federal government. Number two, as mentioned earlier, 1/2 of the staff is able to deliver the meals to our children. Supply and demand. The addition of the number of students that are being served. I'm glad to hear that there will be continual dialogue with the buildings and the board members and the staff, but it is a problem across the state and nation. Having slightly participated in a food distribution program earlier in the year, there definitely were issues with food that was not, certainly by my standards, quality food. But in speaking to the people that ran the program, they tried to stay abreast of the problem and contact the proper federal officials to let them know that things were not up to snuff. I appreciate your comments, Mrs. Elmore Stratton, that we need a little bit of patience. It's not pretty out here still. I'm aware of that. You all are aware of that. In fact, I think most of us are probably suffering, I certainly am, from post-traumatic syndrome because this issue with COVID has affected all of us. I would like to recognize a couple of people myself from tonight's honorees. Jen Fassbinder, the SAC program is going to miss you. Christy Marella, I remember you from years ago. And thank you, Bernie Connors, for being such an influence on both of my sons during your years at High School West. I do not believe that the state mandate upholds children's rights, and I'm all for following the guidelines set forth by the current state mandates, whether we approve of them or not. Thank you, Mrs. Arroyo, Mrs. Elmer Stratton, and Ms. Friedel for recognizing the years of service that Mrs. Matlack has given to our district. There is something to be said for experience, though many don't want to believe that anymore. I certainly have appreciated your absolutely avid interest in our district, your participation in as many events as that you could. It's a lot of time. And those of you who are serving on the board who are somewhat new to the board, particularly trying to get the information about the bond and the commitment to the community, know what that kind of time can mean. So I thank you, Mrs. Matlack. I'll certainly have more to say next month, but since my time is running out, I do thank the board members who are serving our community as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Einhorn. Looks like we have a audience member.
Hello and good evening to the Board of Education, members of the community. Thankfully, my name is Brandon Hines, also 278 Garfield Ave, Collingswood is my address. I want to take this opportunity to congratulate the Board of Education on certifying a contract with the educators. And the work that I do, I work with a lot of different school districts, and this is an issue that a lot of school districts, I'm sure many of you are aware, do not have the benefit of having locked themselves into a contract, especially a long-term contract such as the one that you guys have signed. So again, congratulations on that front. Otherwise, for those who I've not met or have gotten to know at this point, again, my name is Brandon. I began my career 13 years ago as a national spokesperson and motivational speaker for the American Heart Association. That work brought me to 200 public schools plus in New Jersey, across tens of thousands of students in all age ranges in New Jersey as well. After 10 years with them, I had the pleasure of working with the New York City Department of Education and conducting youth engagements on their behalf as well. That brought me to thousands more students across all 5 boroughs of the city at that time. Since then, I've spent my entire career communicating with as many students, educators, and administrators as possible to bring our students the most well-rounded program to improve their mental, emotional, and physical health possible. So prior to the pandemic, I was hard pressed to find a member of the education community that would have disagreed that student morale is not only extremely important, but it is intimately correlated to a student's ability to perform in the classroom academically. Prior to the pandemic, there was scarce evidence to support something like that, such a claim. Now the research is crystal clear since the pandemic that not only is student morale directly correlated to academic performance in a profound way, both student and parent morale has suffered dramatically since the start of this pandemic. So the last time I spoke in Cherry Hill was actually 2015. I had an opportunity to work with the students at Carusi Middle School. It was a phenomenal opportunity for me. I will never forget it, working in such a district like Cherry Hill. Amongst other districts in the area, Cherry Hill certainly stands out. What brings me back to the district is information. With the work that I do in districts like Clearview, West Efford, Woodbury, Kansas City Schools, et cetera, it'd be very helpful for me to find out and ask the board to share with myself and the members of the community what social emotional learning programs are implemented here in Cherry Hill, what things have been implemented since the start of the pandemic, if any new programs, what things work well for you guys, what things haven't worked quite as well. These things are really important for me to better improve my approach working with the students that I work with. And so it would be very advantageous to share those things with me. I would really appreciate that. Of course, there's no obligation to do so. But again, it would be very helpful for me in my approach and the work that I do every day. So thank you again so much for listening to me. I hope I have the opportunity to listen to you as well. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Next on the line is Kim Gallagher.
Kim Gallagher, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, Kim Gallagher, Cherry Hill. I'd like to talk on 2 comments quickly. The first being the topic of quarantine. At this point in time, thankfully, neither of my children have had to deal with it, but I have heard of many parents who have, and the abruptness of the calls that they receive that their children need to be picked up or aren't able to come to school. And, you know, it creates a bit of chaos in their life. And, you know, the fact that the district is asking the parents to wait 1 to 3 days to receive instruction due to teachers needing to prepare for it is a bit contradictory, since the parents don't get 1 to 3 days to prepare for it. A lot can be lost in those 1 to 3 days. And with students having the last 2 years of their lives being a bit chaotic, missing school is not the best thing for them to do. I hope that the district is keeping metrics of how many students are ending up testing positive while on quarantine, and they have a metric to show that if there aren't many students that are testing positive, that quarantining will end soon. The second topic I have is a little bit based on the board and the building improvements, the bond. I really would love to see the board bring back emailed comments, just as Ms. Bavad had to read a comment from her friend because she works at night. There are many people who are unable to attend meetings due to work and life, and having the ability to have the community's voices heard is really important, especially as you try to pass a bond. I also would recommend that the district allows for emailed questions and comments to the building improvement town halls. I didn't see it as an option for this past week. Same reason, you know, unfortunately, the response and the amount of community that showed up for the bond presentation was pretty light when you consider the amount of people that live in the community. And I just think that it's really important that if you want this bond to pass, that you create other avenues by way that people can participate. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Pat Mccargo.
I just wanted to comment on the decision by Board Member Carol Matlack not to seek re-election. And I just wanted to thank her for all of her efforts on behalf of the district and on behalf of our kids. I've worked on numerous committees with Carol, not the least of which was the Cultural Proficiency Committee, and worked with the curriculum. And she has always been a straight shooter, straightforward, and I'm going to miss her. And I know the board members will miss her. She is what I would consider a consummate board member in being prepared for all of her meetings, and she goes over her materials and she discusses them in a manner in which is understandable for all. And so I just wanted to thank Carol for all of her efforts and to wish her well.
Thank you, Ms. McCargo. Next, we have Stephanie Graff.
Hi, thank you. I also wanted to thank the board first for the CHE agreement. I think it's phenomenal that they have a 4-year agreement, long-term in place, and a reward for what they've had to go through over the last year and a half. Second, want to thank Ms. Matlack for all of her time. She has spent countless years on this board. Her guidance is invaluable, I'm sure, to many of you, and she is always prepared. To that point, I did find it a little frustrating tonight that there was a board member who's asking information that's in the road forward plan and what the quarantine actually is, when all of that is information that has been talked about and put forward month after month after month in these meetings. So I would hope that information like that you're asking the community to abide by, that board members are up to date on that information. Lastly, I wanted to talk about the food and some of my concerns, and I am concerned with the amount of information that gets posted on Facebook and social media. And I guess one of the things that I'm trying to find out or figure out is that a lot of this, I think, can be helped by an increase in communication from the district. I think these are issues that are, not, again, totally not unique to Cherry Hill, but I think need reinforcing in the community. So I think what we see is that Airmark is hiring and it's $14 an hour. What I don't think we see is, we used to have 2 to 3 people in an elementary school preparing food. We have 1. So we are down to 1/3 of the staff, and we are preparing 4 times as many meals. I think that information going out to all parents in the weekly emails that the principals send, or from the district, but probably more importantly from the weekly emails that the principals send, especially at the elementary levels, would be key. I think a process for communicating concerns needs to be communicated to the community. So if your child has expired food, or if it's not cooked, please tell them to come to the office. There should be logs in each school about what's going on, and then report it up. So I would like to see that, whatever the process is, communicated. I also am a little bit frustrated that there is no contact information for Airmark or Mr. Bridges on the Cherry Hill Public Schools website. I think if there were a way for the community members to reach out to him directly, maybe they wouldn't feel so frustrated and be posting all over social media. And yeah, I think communication would be key. So, yeah.
Thank you, Mrs. Graff. Next on the line, we have Jen Fleischer.
Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to take the time also to echo everyone's sentiments actually, as an incoming board member, I feel that I wanted to just let you all know that I was looking forward to working with Carol Matlack, but I do want to wish her the best on all of her future endeavors. I'd worked with her for many, many years on a lot of committees, and she has shown her integrity and her loyalty to our district. So I do wish her all the best in the future. I do wish I had a chance to work with her as being a formal board member, but understand her decision, but wish her the best. Thank you.
Thank you. And I see no additional questions. So that moves us to superintendent's comments, I believe.
Thank you, Ms. Friedel. Let me see if there's a few of these items that I can address. There's a question about the conflict with the evening conferences on December the 7th, which is the same evening as a board meeting. There are elementary night conferences that evening. There are middle school conferences that afternoon. The goal is to try to, as much as possible, avoid conflict and avoid conflict with events going on in the district in the same evening as a board meeting. Because of the situation this year with the way that December is in the calendar, in order to still do 2 board meetings because of the volume of work that needs to be done, and without doing committee meetings, the meetings were moved to the first Tuesday and the third Tuesday of the month, as opposed to the second Tuesday and the fourth Tuesday of the month. But Mrs. Wethington and her committee that have been meeting since last summer, looking at the assignment of middle school boundaries and what it looks like for the middle schools, when they present on the 7th, it's going to be the first of many discussions. That certainly is not going to be the only discussion that's going to take place about the proposals. There are a number of options on which they have been working that they will present to the board. I expect that the board will engage in discussion that evening. I expect that members of the community will make comments at that board meeting. I expect that there will be comments at the December 21st board meeting and well into January on the 11th and on the 25th of January. But I would also expect there to be additional discussion should the board have questions specifically on January the 11th. We have reached out to the Zone PTA to offer to deliver the presentation to the Zone PTA table at their regularly scheduled meeting on the 14th of December. And certainly as part of the planning, we will most likely, there will be town hall meetings that we will hold to have discussions about middle school as well. So it's going to be the first of many meetings that take place. It's not going to be a one evening discussion that will go on. Now, if there are people that would like to try to move their conferences, you could certainly reach out, at the elementary school and attempt to do that. But there will be plenty of opportunity for folks to be able to share their perspective and honestly more time to digest the information that is shared on the 7th at the future meeting. Students, student absences are something that has to be looked at every year. There's a compliance piece that we have to report out with the state for children who are chronically absent. The assignment of credit at the secondary level or the successful completion of a year at any of the levels, they're certainly within our policy and within our practice is the opportunity to excuse days. And those days when children are quarantined would certainly be identified as excused days. Wearing of masks in schools and in school facilities is still required as per the executive order. That has not changed. The comment about an elementary school and the challenge with the child that's gone on quarantine, I encourage the families who have had that experience to reach out directly to the school principal to have follow-up discussion. Dr. Mayhem will be following up as well. Brendan, thank you for coming out. There are a number of programs that we are using in the district at the high school level. Program is called Ingenuity, social emotional learning lessons and resources, discovery education being used at the middle school level, second step at the elementary level, Why Try. We are engaged with the Thrive Network for additional training for many of our counselors in the district. We have a concierge service called Care Solace, where staff members and students can access mental health providers, and they walk them through that process. There are SAL lessons, social emotional learning lessons that are intentionally embedded in the school throughout the school day. Guidance lessons by counselors. We still provide Stop It, the Stop It app as a venue for students to anonymously report issues. And Brendan, if you have additional questions, please don't hesitate to send us an email to reach out. We will certainly follow up. You can send it to me or to whomever. But yeah, just reach out directly and we'll follow up. Quarantine is not ideal. We agree it's a challenge for all who are involved. Again, we have been implementing the same guidelines regarding quarantine. They were discussed with our Road Forward Committee on multiple occasions. They're included in our Road Forward plan. It is definitely challenging when students or when anybody has to quarantine. We agree. I'll tell folks, we had the town hall meeting that some people mentioned last evening as we discussed the school improvement process. There's a thought exchange that is out there that people can engage in. We also have an email address, plan, PLAN, @chclc.org that we've been advertising as well. We encourage people, if they have thoughts about school improvement, about the physical needs of our building, send us that email. It's being monitored. We will respond. We'll put that information together. It'll be part of the discussions that are ongoing with the board. We encourage folks to try to come out on December 15th over at High School East at 7 p.m. We'll be having a community town hall meeting there as well. It'll also be available online via Zoom. But we would like to have as many people as possible continue to share their perspective and share their thoughts on what it is that we are doing and how we are moving forward. All of us, and congratulate Ms. Matlack on getting through reading that letter. I know that is a challenge to have to do. There will be additional comments, I'm sure, from all of the board members and from many of us at the last meeting on December the 21st. So congratulations on making your announcement. That's got to be exciting, and also at the same time, it makes anxiety inducing as well. So congratulations to you.
Thank you, Dr. Malash. We will not be going into a second executive session. So this brings us to the end of our meeting this evening. I will make a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? Mrs. Schultz, all those in favor? Motion carries. Have a great evening and a wonderful holiday season that we are entering into.